Giants select Luke Petitgout, tackle, Notre Dame.
Welcome to the TheFallenState. I am Jesse Lee Peterson. Thank you so much for being with me. A quick reminder that TheFallenState is now on locals.com. So click the link in the description to support our work, folks, and thank you in advance. I have with me Luke Petitgout. He's a former NFL player who played for the New York Giants, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and for Notre Dame in college. Luke, thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Jesse. Great to see you.
Yeah, and so did I pronounce your name right, your last name?
Perfect. I mean, I've been called many things, and you did it. I think you called it the best ever.
Wow, that's amazing.
Amazing.
And so, Luke, you played ball at one time, and now you're retired. How old were you when you first started to play football?
I started playing organized football 9 years old at Pop Warner.
9 years old?
Yeah.
That's amazing. And how did you have a successful career?
Yeah, it was I played, from 9 until I played Pop Warner for 2 years, then went to junior high. I was a bigger kid, so I was a bit of a late bloomer, which is actually beneficial for, continuation into the professional sports. So it took me a while to acclimate, but once I did, then it was whatever I wanted it to be.
Right on. And when you retired, what year did you retire?
Well, my last year was 2000. My last game was in 2007. I always say I never retired. I got fired due to injuries, and that's what happens. You play 9 years, relatively 9 years surgery free. You always have injuries. You're always hurt, but 9 years of 8 years of no surgeries, and then my 9th year, I had to get 2 surgeries.
Amazing.
That was it.
And was it difficult for you mentally and emotionally to retire due to injury and not because you were ready?
Yeah, it definitely takes an adjustment because you are with your team. That's your identity. You have that. That is your purpose. That's what you are constructed to do, if you will.
Right.
It's not a normal progression in life to go out there and do that every, week in and week out, year in, year out. So mentally, you acclimate, and then at the end, there's the deceleration, the de-escalation process is what you need to figure out.
And you say you got your identity from football, from playing football, and you just felt that it was a part of you. You had nothing else but that. Well,
that was my source of income. That was my craft. Okay, it's like a surgeon who gets his hand cut off. What's he going to do? Operate with his teeth? So it's the same thing because there's no. Football players, the window is very, it opens and closes whenever it wants to. It's up to, you got to be healthy, lucky. The harder you work, the luckier you are, but staying injury free is the key in football. And, dealing with that, it's changed now. I think there's a better process of guys that once they're done, they have resources, and they've offered those resources somewhat to us as well. But with the new CBA came into effect, I think after the 2010 season, they really took, with the concussion issues and things like that, guys started killing themselves, like Junior Seau and Dave Duerson. So they had to start paying attention. Obviously, she got a $1 trillion fund set up for guys with head trauma and brain injuries. And so they did their CYA, if you will. And obviously the movie Concussion put a lot of light on the rigors of football. So, yeah, it's definitely, I mean, you're basically, you're a piece of a machine.
Yeah. When, what type of trauma did you have?
I mean, it's the whole body, it's multiple concussions, arthritis, anything orthopedic, knee, broken leg, broken fingers, broken ankles, broken wrists, shoulder joints.
Wow.
I blew out my back. 2003, needed surgery, but I played with that from 3, 4, 5, 6, and then finally in 7. That's what really put me down because I knew once I got back surgery, I wasn't never going to play again. And so I just played with it, got epidurals and things like that, and sucked it up. But nobody, it's just it's like behind the scenes of your show. Yeah. A lot goes on that people don't know about.
Right.
And it's the same way with every entertainment business.
I can imagine that. So when I was reading your story here, I was thinking about when men go to the military and they get out, they have the military hospital services thing. Mm-hmm. But when players play sports, they make a lot of money. They make buku money. Why don't they prepare themselves for things like this if they have to leave or retire? Why don't they use some of that money to have private care? Because private care is always better than public care.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, we have, when we are done, but okay, there's two sides of that, okay? When you're playing football, you don't complain, you don't explain, okay? So you need surgery. Things are very structured and very laid out for you. As long as you follow that plan, then you will succeed. Once you're done, you leave, you're cut. They send you your stuff in a box and drop it off on a driveway. So you say, have a nice day. And then you're supposed to find a doctor to help you out. It's like, and no doctor living down the street from my house is going to have any clue of what I've been through the last, 9 years of my life.
Yeah.
And so, it's modern medicine is, it's one big circle, if you will. Closed circuit. So, yeah, I mean, they have things now that are better ways. They have a dedicated hospital system in each city with a stadium and a certain radius that you can access. But, it's one of those things. I mean, a lot of guys are self-reliant, self-dependent. And when you're playing, you don't think about, it's just like in the military.
Yeah.
When you're in battle, you don't think about anything but success. And when you're playing football, you only think about performance and winning and getting to the next game.
Right. Do football players have like their own private medical insurance?
We have provided the new guys get 15 years. My generation got 5 years after you're done. So you get 5 years of insurance. And then you're on your own. The new guys get 15 years. I think they're going to try and move to lifetime eventually, but getting it retroactive for guys, even before me and further on back, you don't need insurance paid for when you get out of the NFL. You can pay for it yourself. Right. You're not going to use it that much. Yeah. You need it, 55, 60. That's when you need it.
Yeah.
And that's when it's not available. Guys don't know that. They didn't figure that out right out of the gate.
Amazing. So your body, are you still like sore and you can't freely move about?
I mean, I'm limited in what I do as compared to what I used to do. I can't go into the gym and start just squatting 315 pounds
right.
Because you got to be able to live. You're not getting paid to be in pain like you used to be. So, you've got to it's a conscious thing. Aside from, mental, physical, you just seeing, there's a whole host of things that when you look at football now as a former player, you see what's going on today, how much they make,
Yeah.
compared to, so it's quite a conundrum, if you will.
Yeah. No, they make buku now.
Oh, yeah.
You are, so like, you know how when you're dating and you break up with the woman, you feel like you lost your soul. Like God is gone, right? You're depressed. You feel lonely. Is that the same feeling when you had to end football? You want to commit suicide and all that? Is that the same kind of feeling you get?
Yeah, I mean, it's abandonment, when you get abandoned, basically. Um, I was fortunate enough to have three children. And my goal was always to get, do the best I can, make the most I can, finish, and then be home and, raise my children or our children. But so once you get healed up, once you kind of get back, into society, and, you're never going to be a civilian because you just don't think like civilians. I mean, you just, in general, you have a sense of urgency. You have a way of doing things that are, detailed and just very structured, like you said, like in the military sense. But yeah, you lose that. You have to find, you're never going to replace that passion or that fire that you felt from playing football. And so you look for ways to compensate that. And at the same time, depending on your financial situation or what's going on in your life, it's just like everybody, it's life.
Yeah. Do you get suicidal thoughts?
Me personally, no.
Okay.
I mean, I think that's, just from playing football, you don't, you're going through a lot there. And so when you look at the guy next to you and you say, I'm tired, but I know if he can make it, I can make it, that kind of mentality. So,
right.
You never quit. Suicide, especially with, I mean, it's just something that never really entered my mind. I mean, we have a term in the NFL or football called suicide watch, which means if someone had a bad game or, they're going to be in the shell and moping around depressed all week, but never to the sense of anything like that, because I just don't, that would never be,
Right.
could never do that.
So are you okay now? Are you like, as far as mental and adjusting to society, are you fine now?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm all right. It depends on who you ask, but I sit back and I watch. I'm a traditional person. I grew up on a farm. Grandfathers were in the military. My father played for Penn State, Joe Paterno. My mother was a teacher. She went to Penn State, educated parents, educated family, come from a blue collar background. And so I always just hold true to, my upbringing and, and playing for Lou Holtz. It kind of embodies, it's never as good as it seems. It's never as bad as it seems. And you're not the first, you're not the last.
Yeah.
And so every day, you just, you just get it done one way or another.
Yeah, I read that you grew up on a farm in Delaware. Growing up on a farm, did that make you tough in life?
I mean, I say people, when this pandemic and all this stuff, I said that's how I grew up. I mean, lights were out at 9:00. There was no. They still can't get pizza delivered there. There's still no cable. You had to entertain yourself because if you got bored, you got put to work. So there was no.
That's right.
It's I just it's funny. Things are great when it's convenience, but people don't realize that convenience is not it's a gift. It's not a requirement.
Absolutely.
And
you have sons?
I have 3 daughters.
Oh, 3 daughters. Hey, no son. Real men make boys first. What?
I mean, I have a philosophy. I can tell you off the air. But yeah, they're all healthy, beautiful girls. I mean, they're getting older now, and it's I never treated them as girls or boys.
Yeah.
They were my my children, and I would do whatever I had to do to protect them and make sure that they understood what life was all about.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So, are you a Christian?
I am.
You,
I'm a spiritual person.
and what does that mean, spiritual person? What does that mean?
I believe in a higher power. I believe in accountability. I believe in the sun, the moon, everything. It all is connected to a higher power, and that higher power can reside within yourself, and that within yourself is what you look to, and that's kind of where you get your strength from.
And when you look at society today, and you see that men are not built like that anymore. You were prepared, you had to work growing up, you were tough. What do you think about men today not being raised that way?
Well, all I can say is you can't really blame them for not being raised that way.
Yeah.
However, you can hold them to get better. Because
Right.
if you're not getting better, you're getting worse.
Yeah.
And a lot of, I mean, it's just like a baby. A baby, has a diaper for a reason. It doesn't know any better until a certain point. But it's up to you to teach that baby how to,
That's true.
grow up. So, you hear about the things a lot, but the beta
Right.
males.
Beta male.
Yeah, and they're quite amusing. I just was watching the guy that you had on talking about you left the debate, the rage debate, or something like that. He was talking about it was just recent. I don't know when it was, but he was talking about not having sex and why can't he have sex and not be? And you were like, well, why don't you just go a year without it? And he said, well, I don't want to.
Yeah.
So people they don't know how to test themselves.
Yeah.
They really are codependent. They're just it's a weakness. And until you go through some real stuff and figure it out, there's always it's not worth getting out of bed if you don't have something to challenge you.
That's right, man. I noticed too that people run away from challenges, not toward the challenge. And I wonder, how do they expect to get strong in life? How do they expect to develop into that person that God meant for us to be if they don't go toward the challenge? They tend to want it soft, they run away from. Don't hurt my feelings. You hurt my emotions. You made me feel that way. That is it's crazy.
Yeah, look what you made me do. That's
Yeah.
you heard that one before, yeah.
I have.
A lot of it comes from the music that they listen to. And, the music that's out there in the world is all about, I'm a victim, poor me. If you really listen to the lyrics of some of these performers, it's trash.
Yeah.
And, it affects young minds and, they don't know what they're listening to, but it gets embedded in their brains. And then at some point when they need it, it's like subconsciously kicks in. Oh man, see, he's being mean to me,
Yeah.
Right. And then it's all downhill from there because once misery loves company, and a lot of people use that victim mentality to profit, as we have all seen.
Yeah, absolutely. I know men and have counseled with men, at least 3 right now I know for sure. They're like 60 years old or so, and they live at home with mama. They're depressed. They hate mama. They don't want to work. But they're at 60, they're living at home with mama, and it's not worked out for them, but yet they don't have that something that makes you get up and make the change. Go for it.
Yeah, it's one thing to be home with your mom if she needs you or something like that. But you got to have some, what they say, piss and vinegar. You got to get going.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have anger?
I think everybody has a little bit of. What football is controlled chaos, controlled rage, controlled emotion. My position was to cripple people.
And you needed that anger to do that.
Yes, that was something that you had to condition yourself to be. That's not normal, because if you're that way too young, you're dead or in jail.
Yeah, man.
So the mental conditioning that goes into any professional athlete, not so much. Football is the majority. Rugby is tough, but football. These guys. It's a sellout every play. Good ones. It's you got to play angry, chip on your shoulder, and a lot of that comes from when we talk about victimhood. You can either, have that slight, and you can use that slight for fuel, or you can use that slight for a blankie to cry on.
Yeah.
So you can play with that chip on your shoulder, and you prove anybody. I don't forget anybody that said something that I couldn't do. And so I always, you smile, you nod, and then you go out there and, you prove them wrong.
Yeah.
And, because, somewhere, some way along the way, they're only saying that. People only you want to put people down because they're jealous, or they've never been there. Or they they'll never get there. So they want to just chirp, the peanut gallery.
Yeah, absolutely. So if they condition you like that to be that way, the guys to be that way, what is it like off the field when they're in the locker rooms or hanging out in training? Do they fight with one another? Because that anger has to come out some kind of way when you're not on the field.
No, that anger is on the field. There's nothing that goes on outside of that field. Once you step across that field, okay, there's there's rules, but there's no rules, and anything that has been done off the field within the locker room or something like that will get settled on the field. Because it's a team mentality.
Right.
You can fight on the field and practice. They don't like it, but sometimes it's necessary. And off the field, though, we use everything. The NFL is, I wouldn't call it. It's clicky, if you will. Okay, I'm not going to call it segregated. I'm going to call it clicky, because the DBs stay with the DBs.
Yeah.
Receivers stay with the receivers. The D-line, O-line, because that's who you're with all the time.
Yeah.
And they, but there's it's quite a dichotomy between each position and everybody. It's one big joke fest, pretty much off the field. In the locker room, a lot of practical games being played. And, comedy and humor is how you get through the day, because it's a physical day every day, and mental.
Is the race issue a big deal when you playing football, or is it like the military? I've heard about the military that everybody's the same when you're in the Army. Is that like that with football too?
Everybody's the same. It's everyone's from a different place, different similar backgrounds, but different places, different colleges. So more so when you get to the professional level, everyone's from a different, college and area. And it's very. I studied sociology in college. I don't know what I learned, but it definitely is entertaining to me to see everybody interact and how we get along and who gets along with who. And there's a lot of tendencies to who hangs with who and things like that.
Yeah, you And I wanted to ask you about college. There's so many things I want to ask you about. You were in college during the 90s. Has it changed a lot since you left?
Well, college football, I think, has, yeah, especially with targeting, and anybody gets hit in the head, and you get kicked out of the game, and so it's very, they're very rules. You see all these lawsuits in the professional areas, but you don't ever see a lawsuit in college, which is kind of baffling to me because college is where you get beat up the most. I mean, if you didn't leave practice every day with a concussion, you don't feel like you did anything.
Nice.
So, yeah, that's as an offensive lineman. So, because, you're a blocking dummy, you play, as a freshman going in, you're just a piece of meat.
Yeah.
And they beat you up pretty good. So, but college has changed a lot. It's, the NCAA has quite a set of rules and regulations that they have to, they really enforce about a number of hours on the field and what you can do, this, that. I mean, it wasn't like that when I played.
Yeah, and by doing that, they're softening it down, right? They're softening the guys up, and it's not it's not very as challenging. It's not as much fun.
No, and it's definitely, it's a fine line. You can have fun, but the only fun that you really have is when you win.
Yes.
And so you want to have fun and then do this and then lose the game because all that, fun stuff, it does take away from your focus and the ultimate goal.
Yeah. Were you ever tempted, and you don't have to answer this, of course, if you want, were you ever tempted to use drugs and things like that while playing football, either in college or off?
No, I mean, there's so much testing, and especially at Notre Dame, where they did a lot of testing.
Oh.
The NFL, they did a lot of testing. So there was never any, as far as I can only speak for myself, but as far as that in those terms of, performance enhancing or things like that, it was pizza and milk.
Nice. Should they ever allow a woman to coach a men's football team, and should they allow women to play on the men's team?
I would say if you want to coach, you have to play. And so if and referee, it's kind of a tongue in cheek, but if I was a player now and I saw a ref that I didn't think should be there, then I'd probably go take that ref out and then suffer the circumstances after the fact, because that's just how I am.
Amazing.
I can't imagine somebody calling a penalty on me. Refs, you have to deal with them at the first place. Some are better than others. Some have different areas of the game that they know better than others. Like there's a guy that stands close to the ball that knows what linemen do.
Right.
There's the guy that stands on the sideline that just looks for people that line up and knows what receivers do. So they see certain things and they'll call a penalty, and it's unwarranted. So that's where the anger comes in. Yeah. And so anybody that's, it's a spectator sport for those that have never played, and I don't think that anybody that has never played should be able to control a game or influence a game.
Yeah. I went to a football game once, and they had a woman for high school though, and they had a woman coach, and it was just ridiculous, man. She's like, run over here and get the ball. The voice alone made it weak. And it just wasn't the same.
Yeah, and I've never experienced it firsthand. My mom was a teacher, so I knew how to follow. I knew, what was going on. There was no what was said was what was done, and but it's I don't know. Maybe it's a woke thing. I don't know.
Yeah, evidently.
Yeah.
So,
But I mean, who knows if it's going to take somebody to get hurt? It's just like anything.
yeah,
It's going to take someone to get hurt for such things to change.
it's well, I don't know if it's unfortunate or not. I started to say it's unfortunate that some people need pain in order to change. But it takes that for a lot of people. They need pain before they really start to wake up and see what's going on.
Yeah, you learn the hard way.
Yeah. What a mess. So why did you go into like sports announcements or that kind of stuff when you was done with playing?
Well, it's a very saturated field. They usually take the guys like quarterbacks, Troy Aikman or Tony Romo, Phil Simms, Boomer Esiason. The guys that really know, they can see the guys that see the field have a better understanding of what's going on. They can predict, like Romo can predict what's coming. As an offensive tackle, they told me, all right, you got the baddest dude on the field this week. Make sure he doesn't go anywhere. And that was my job. And so everyone has a different thing that they watch in the games. And there's a lot in a football game that you don't see on TV within the lines and everything. So
I can imagine.
It's pretty, the game film is much more telling than the TV copy.
Yeah. Amazing. One other thing I wondered about football players, like with all things, when football players see basketball players out somewhere, do the football players think they're better than the basketball players? And do the basketball players think that they're like a Michael Jordan, when he think that he's better than the best football player? Is that kind of challenge there?
I mean, I think there's a mutual respect, but within, I'm sure there'll be some type of competition between, if it comes to that, we'll be playing cards or doing something like that. Because, I mean, you get a Michael Jordan, he's considered the greatest pretty much of all time in any sport, because of the success record and how he did it.
Right.
He's respected not just because he won, but because he's a dog. He worked hard. He held people accountable, and that's what made him great. Other guys that just want to talk and start controversies, things like that. You don't even talk to them. I mean, I wouldn't even acknowledge him. A guy like, LeBron James, because they don't know who I am. So I'm not going to go up and say, hey, something like that. No.
Right on. So I want to ask you about relationship. You're married, so you tough on the football field, right? When you get home, does your wife push you around?
Well, I was married. Okay, so now I'm divorced. Yeah.
Okay.
But yes, that's one thing that, and it was very tumultuous divorce and publicized and done in a manner so that the victim mentality, if you will, used Luke's fame in New York City to benefit myself, take the kids away, move to a different state.
I know
all that. So, so that since 2014, I've been going through that, and we met in college and got married, got engaged right out of college, got married, and we're together about 14 years. Full time I played, everything like that. So, but as a football player, you take abuse because that's what you're used to, and I can only speak for myself, but there's no such thing as a perfect relationship. Both people are accountable for themselves.
Yeah.
And there's three sides to every story.
Yeah.
Her side, his side, and the truth.
But women tend to lie and cry.
This is
and the courts and everybody fall for the lies and the tears.
Well, it's like you said, misery loves company.
Yeah.
So, I can't imagine being a judge sitting around listening to people's problems all day, that they would not at some point start to be skewed just because they've been so indoctrinated with all this pity and all this nonsense.
Yeah.
I mean, they're matrimonial judges, what do? I mean, I don't know. It's all about money. It's
all about money, man.
Yeah, I mean, like Chris Rock said, Chris Rock's, he lives in the area that I live in.
Oh, okay.
Not where I'm from, but Bergen County, New Jersey.
Right.
Outside New York City there. And, he said, she's got 3 lawyers. He's got 3 lawyers. There's the judge. There's the stenographer. There's the deputy. And he's sitting around saying, all these people are here to take my money.
Yeah.
And he said,
so true.
He said that's when he realized that he made it.
That's
so,
right.
With fame comes attention, and it's unfortunate for a lot of guys because there's a big theme that all the NFL guys, they all go broke because they spend their money after they're done, this and that. But in reality, it's the people that are connected to them or the people that they trusted, throughout their career are the ones that end up, it's like the lion tamer, those guys out in Vegas.
Yeah.
Sigmund and Freud, is that their name?
Yeah.
Yeah. Eventually they got eaten.
What a mess.
So it's the same mentality,
Yeah.
And you can't, once you're in the system, it's tough to get out. It's stereotypical. It's discrimination. I mean, people talk about this stuff all the time, but to say it as a professional athlete, white guy, this, that, people don't want to hear it, but it's true.
Exactly. Which was harder for you, playing football, having to retire due to injury early, or losing your children? This person trying to take your children.
Oh, losing them. Of course. I mean, I did everything. Every time I put 405 on my back and did it, or every weight, every play was all for them. And they're fine. They're doing well. Love them, and everything will come out in the end.
Right on.
It's just a matter of society and influence. That's the thing when you have kids. The older they get, the less influence you have on them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that external influence, especially today, they go to school and they're reading about changing their sex in 3rd grade. Craziness. It's just like when I show up and I want to talk about what's going on in school, and then all of a sudden they want to call the police.
I know.
Everybody's. So.
What a mess. There are many evil things in the world today, but one of the ones that at the top of the list is that when these women are trying to take the man's children away from him, and the courts and others go along with it, it's as though they don't think that the father has feeling for his children. They don't even consider that the pain that the father goes through when he loses his children. There's no consideration for that at all. And women who take the children from the father are totally wicked, because if they had real love, they would know that the fight between the father and the mother has nothing to do with the children. And so the kids should be free to be with both parents whenever they want to. But these women will take the children, and the courts, nobody considered the pain of the father for their children.
No. And, and my belief is that it's a lag effect from the woman that takes the children from their father as a result of that woman's father.
Yes.
Daddy issues, things like that, anger. You talk about anger, that's anger in a different form. Like that's, men get mad and they'll break something or whatever. Women, they get, not all women, but, they have a different mentality.
Their anger is wicked.
Yeah, it's never ending.
Right, and never. They live off it, man. Luke, they live off anger. They'll wake up in the morning, cuss you out, and make breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and go to bed and sleep like a baby.
Yeah,
so they get life from that.
Yeah, and it's a borderline personality disorder. There's a lot of things that's are the underlying causes of a lot of dysfunction. And that's when you come from a well-oiled machine like a professional football organization and the New York Giants and Notre Dame. There's a very structured system, and you're accountable, but that doesn't translate into the home.
Yeah, that's right.
And they're not used to that. I mean, if you're in the military and you marry a woman that's in the military, you're going to have less differences than someone else that has no clue of what you do.
Yeah. Would you ever marry again?
Oh, well, I never say never, but yeah, what I say is in a sense, I'm married to my 3 daughters, because of my commitment to them. And so if the time comes when I feel that I'm able to give what I need to give to another marriage, then I'll look at that. But right now, it's a matter of making sure that my kids are good.
Man. How old are they now?
21, 18, and 11.
Oh, we got a while.
Well, almost 21. Yeah, January 19th, my oldest will be 21.
Right on.
So yeah, one's out in St. Mary's College and next to Notre Dame in Indiana.
Nice.
And one's a senior in high school in Chicago, and then the little one is in Chicago now as well. They moved out there about a year and a half ago or so.
Chicago is a scary place to live now. What a mess, man.
That's what I said. I mean, I'm like, you want to move the kids? Why don't you move them to Florida?
That's right.
What about it? You moved to Chicago.
She moved them right into hell. She's giving them hell, and now they're going to catch more hell.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's when you can't protect your children, it's a weird feeling.
Sure is. It really is. I felt the same way about my son when his mother kept him and did all that mess. I felt the same way, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's, parenting is expensive. Everything costs money.
Yeah.
And, it's just a matter of figuring it out, but it takes 2 to tango. You can't just do everything. I mean, like you said, I watched a number of your shows, but that control is what they want.
Yes, absolutely, man. What a mess. I got to ask you, I don't believe racism exists. I don't think there's no such thing as racism, sexism, homophobism, Islamophobism, Allah'ism, white supremacism, anti-Semitism, and deadbeatism. It's a spiritual battle between good and evil, right versus wrong. Either you're on the side of good, you're on the side of evil. And it has nothing to do with male or female. Am I wrong?
No.
Nice.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think the dumbest thing I've ever seen is the end racism.
I know.
Which is in the end zone. I'm like, there's no racism. Everyone's the same. We're all boys. We're all like, we go to war for each other. We do it on the field, off the field, and their families too. It's the ignorant people that are the ones that want to have, like I say, they want to profit from a control standpoint. They want to indoctrinate people, and the anti-Semitism about, I could get, with Kanye West and what he said, and, he's just sick of getting pushed around by people. And people, and he's bitter about what happened with his marriage.
Right.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, they keep him, according to him, they won't let him see his children and all kind of stuff. That's enough to drive you crazy if you don't know how to handle it.
Yeah. No, and he's never been in this position. And that's the thing. It takes a while to let go of control, especially when you're at his level of, mentality. Plus, he comes from that type of family where he was taken from his father.
Right.
He grew up in Delaware for a little while at Dover Air Force Base. which is not far from where I
Amazing.
grew up. So just, people say he's crazy, this and that, but it's, everything is, it's all a machine. It's all propaganda. It's, for Kyrie Irving, another one. You don't want him to get the shot. Okay. Then he can't play. I mean, can't, it's just this whole nonsense about it's not even a vaccine. It's I mean, it's just nuts.
It is, man. What, that guy, Colin Kaepernick,
Yeah.
what did you think of him when you first saw him kneeling to the flag rather than standing up and showing his gratitude and appreciation? Do you remember your first impression of that? What you thought about that?
I mean, I never thought much of him anyway, to be honest with you.
Right on.
When I watch a game, same with Aaron Hernandez. First time I saw him playing football at the University of Florida, in my mind, I just something said to me that's not a good dude, just from his body language.
Yeah.
And with Kaepernick, I read about him a little bit. I saw him play, and then it's just people that don't act like they've been there before, they won't be there long.
Yeah.
And that's, and so his whole wearing his socks with I think I lost it.
No.
Okay. Wearing the socks with the pigs on them, the cops.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's disgraceful because
It is, man.
I saw 9/11 with my own two eyes, after we came in from playing Denver Monday Night Football. And,
Wow.
New York City, the police presence back when I played, for it to change and go completely the other way. Just nonsense.
Yeah.
It's, kneeling on. I mean, it's a good thing I didn't play when all that was going on, because I don't know what I'd done.
Yeah. I know what you mean. One other thing I want to ask you about that is, why don't white men, I understand women have fear, so I understand that. But why don't white men speak up? No, I'm not a racist. I'm not your issue. You have your own problem. I had nothing to do with it. Why don't white men speak up about those things? They're in their own country. If it wasn't for white men, there would be no America. It would be, there would be it. And they let these people come in, whether they're born here or not, and they make the white man look like he's their problem, and white people won't speak up about it. Why not?
I think they'd speak up, but I don't think it would be. I mean, you look at Trump; he spoke up,
Yeah.
and now he's the villain. But
that's that battle between good and evil. Evil try to stop good.
Of course, and it's a lot easier to be bad than it is to be good. And at the end of the day, it's just easier not to do something, or to do something the wrong way, than do it the right way. And within each race and each culture, I mean, you talk about racism within each individual, within the Spanish, within Black, within white, they all discriminate against each other because they don't want to see the other one do better.
Yeah.
They don't want to see.
That's so true, man.
Yeah. So, and then, but they put it on somebody else. They project it. Everyone projects their stuff, their issues, their problems onto somebody else that they think, they can get a little, maybe leeway with or something, just like blame it on somebody else.
Yeah.
Because they're lying, or they're their fault, and they want to blame somebody else. So, yeah, I believe it's all these illegal immigrants coming across here. I mean, wherever they're coming from, they're not doing it the right way.
Yeah.
Starting off on the wrong foot. And so they're not going to get the respect. It's not about people. It's not about race.
That's right.
Color, man, women. It's about respect.
Yeah.
English, they want to learn English. People want to learn English. Well, in my opinion, English is a way of life. It's manners. It's not just what you say. It's how you act, because it's coming from England.
That's right.
And it's very formal. It's there's a way to be. You've got to have some brains, have some manners, act like you've been there before, and just people just need to say less, if you will.
I'm surprised at the number of, I'm surprised, but yet not surprised at the number of illegal aliens they're allowed into our country today. Just from everywhere, man. And now the drug cartels are fighting, literally trying to kill, according to the report, the Border Patrol on our side to come into our country.
Yeah, well, I think just yesterday, the Border Patrol in Puerto Rico, they had a shootout. One got killed. That's the Air and Sea, because that's where all the drugs come in from. Dominican into Puerto Rico. And all these drugs that are flowing in here, and you look at the numbers of people that come through, they're all mostly middle-aged, healthy males.
Yes.
Within this, I have friends that have family in Cuba, and there's no young people left in Cuba. They've all come here.
Wow.
For the most part. But these cartels, man, they know what they're doing. They're pushing this fentanyl in. The fentanyl that you hear about in the media isn't even. There's one that's 100 times stronger than that one. That's used for elephants, to tranquilize elephants.
Wow.
And so that's another problem, is they're making that. They get the stuff from China, ship it to Mexico, mix it up, and send it over. And they've been doing it for a long time, but now it's really just beyond.
What a mess.
Yeah, and they think they're buying votes, is what they think they're doing.
Amazing. You're right. Once again, it's about the money and perceived power. It's about the vote. They don't love the illegal aliens at all. They're just using them for personal gain.
No, I mean, they don't even go to the border.
Right.
Joe Biden goes to Rehoboth and eats ice cream. Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, another one that's 20 minutes from my house. But he goes there and falls off his bike and eats ice cream.
I know.
So I don't know what's going on. It's
amazing. So
it's a fallen state.
It's definitely a fallen state. That's for sure, man. I'm hoping that the Great White Hope win this time. And you?
I think, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's going to be, there's a lot of the people now that are saying, well, he shouldn't run because, it'll cause a disruption within the party, the Republicans. But Desantis, he should just stay put.
Yeah.
And if Trump wants to go again, get one more shot.
Yeah.
At least, it'll keep people on their toes, because that's what he does.
Yeah, the fact that the right-o establishment, the Republican, wants Santos over Trump, it tells me that they believe they can control Santos. And that's why they want him. And they know they can't control the Great White Hope, Donald Trump. You know who the Great White Hope, huh? You met him before, right?
Yes, I have.
Is Donald Trump an intellectual? Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
They hate smart people.
Oh, yeah, well.
Especially these white males.
Yeah, no, it's males these days, it's remarked. Anybody that's got half a brain and doesn't want to be controlled or pushed around, and it's a problem. But I met Donald Trump a couple times at his golf course there in New Jersey for golf tournaments, and so he's got pictures of himself everywhere, which is he just does it to he just does it to get people all stirred up.
Amazing. You were diagnosed with CTE. What is that?
CTE, officially, I don't know if I was ever officially diagnosed, but it's cephalitis, something. CTE is.
You don't even know what it is.
It's when you get little. It's from repetitive hits in the head, and you get gray matter on your brain, which is basically like a dead spot.
Oh.
So a lot of guys get it, and it causes behavioral problems. It can cause it's basically like early set Alzheimer's, causes a decline, cognitive decline or behavioral changes, things like that.
Are you concerned you may get that Alzheimer's?
My grandfather died of Alzheimer's. He was a brilliant man, aeronautical engineer. So I'm not concerned. I can't worry about it.
Right on. Yeah.
I do things to prevent it, and I'm certainly aware of it. Just like I'm aware of heart health and things like that, because brain and heart and your kidneys and your liver are the first. Those are your pancreas. That's what guys die from.
Yeah. My father expired from that too, Alzheimer's, but I never think about getting it. It doesn't even occur to me at all that for some reason I'm going to get it,
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah, you could get hit by a bus, walking across the street too.
Right.
You never know.
So Luke, I got to heat up this interview and throw you on the hot seat.
Okay.
The hot seat.
Do you love white people?
Yes. No.
You don't love white people?
No.
Elon Musk buying Twitter, was that a good thing or a bad thing?
Great thing.
Does a chicken have lips?
No.
Did you know that July is White History Month?
No.
Yeah, we founded White History 5 years ago, so we've been celebrating it every July. And do you know why I chose July?
No.
July just feels white.
It does.
Which is worse, abortion or slavery?
Abortion.
What? Oh,
Abortion.
Yeah. I'm sorry?
Abortion.
Abortion. Are UFOs real?
What?
Are UFOs real?
Yes.
Is Colin Kaepernick a beta?
A real beta.
He's
King Beta.
Did you take the jab?
No. Hell no.
Is America the best country on this side of heaven?
Absolutely.
What is a man?
A man is someone that takes accountability and protects others.
Do we need more white babies?
Yeah, babies. I mean, yeah, babies are good.
Did you have fun?
I've always, of course, man. This is the highlight of my post career.
Wow. Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. That was fun. I totally enjoyed it, and
Yes,
it's really nice getting to know you.
Absolutely, you too. I appreciate it, Reverend, and anything I can do in the future and get involved with your charities and things like that. I'll stay in touch with you guys.
Absolutely.
Love to be back on too. Yeah.
Thank you. Tell the folks how to get whatever you're doing, your books or whatever you have going on.
Well, that's why I came on. I want to talk with you about writing a book, and we'll get it done together here, so that way we can really get people's attention.
Right on. Well, thank you, Luke. I really, really appreciate it, man. And thank you all for tuning in. Don't forget to like, follow, tweet, ring the bell, check out our merch, amazing merch. And don't forget that The Fallen State is on locals.com. So click the tab in the link, right, to support our work. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Luke.
Thank you, sir.
All right, buddy. Take care.